If the Tennessee Titans don't find a way to keep it close against the Texans, this very well could be Brian Callahan's last stand. That and more on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, on today's show, I'm going to tell you exactly how the Tennessee Titans can beat the Houston Texans in Week 4. We're going to go over my keys to victory. We're going to go over my players to watch. We're going to go over my predictions for this game, my score prediction, my fantasy predictions, my gambling predictions. But we got to start with what I think is the big storyline for the Titans here, and it's Brian Callahan's last stand as head coach. Before we dive in, I do want to thank you for making the Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day here on the Locked On Titans podcast. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. It's been a huge week on the channel, and I couldn't thank you guys enough. Remember, even if the Titans are winning or losing, when the big news happens and you need to be informed and you need to know what's going to come next, you're going to be able to get all of that information here with Locked On Titans. So again, if you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one. Shout out to you guys. Get locked in with the Locked On Titans podcast. But with that being said, I do think this might be Brian Callahan's last stand as a Tennessee Titans head coach. So it has been just an insane week for the Tennessee Titans, whether it's the bad loss to the Indianapolis Colts, just an absolute embarrassment. Going into Brian Callahan giving up play calling duties, going into the Jarvis Brownlee Jr. trade that shocked everybody. Like, it doesn't matter which way you want to slice it. This has been a tumultuous week for the Titans, and the turmoil level is at an all-time high. And here's the reality. Something that I talked about right after Brian Callahan announced that he was giving up play calling duties, but that was not his decision. And Brian Callahan even said in that press conference that he has zero disappointment in his play calling. He is literally telling you, I don't think that I was doing a bad job calling plays. He has said in previous press conferences multiple times that his favorite part of being an NFL head coach is calling the offensive plays. He was told to do this. He was made to do this by his bosses. Because the conversation went like this, I would imagine, in one way or another. Brian, your in-game management, your in-game decision-making is the absolute worst that we've ever seen in the history of the sport. Maybe they didn't quite say it like that, but that's what they meant, all right? And you need to correct this in-game management problem immediately, because that is what's hurting the team the most from a coaching perspective. Not the offensive play calling, not the defensive play calling, not the special teams, not the this and that. The in-game decision, should we go for it? Should we call a timeout? Should we get aggressive? Should we challenge? Brian Callahan has absolutely dropped the ball on the in-game management decisions more than any other coach that I've ever seen. So Chad Brinker, Mike Borgonzi say, if we don't get the in-game decision-making corrected, we have 0% chance to win regardless of what plays you call on offense. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to stop calling plays so you can focus all of your time on this thing that you suck at. And we're going to let Bo Hardigree, who's called plays before, call the plays from now on. Now, that's what I think the conversation was. And Brian Callahan had two options. Either A, I quit, you're going to have to fire me, I'm not doing it. Or B, okay, I'll do it. And he took option B, which is keep your job. But make no mistake, the fact that the organization ripped his favorite thing away from him and told him, you got to focus on this other area where you're a complete bozo. The fact that that happened, as I said when it happened, that's step one of a two-step process. And step two is a boot in your butt, kicking you out the door entirely. And let me say this. This was, like I said, step one of a two-step process. But it's going to be a Texas two-step for Brian Callahan if he goes down there and gets absolutely rolled by the Houston Texans. I think that the most likely scenario is that the Titans play this game close against the Texans. They don't fire Brian Callahan. He gets to go on the road to Arizona and to Vegas. And then if they lose both of those games and they come back home 0-6, then he'll be fired. But make no mistake about it. If Brian Callahan goes down to Houston, where Amy Adams Strunk's family is from, Amy Adams Strunk's primary home, where she lives most of the year, is in a suburb 20 minutes from the stadium. She is a Texas girl. The Texans game means more to Amy Adams Strunk, the owner, than most games typically do. So, again, I think even if the Titans lose, but they keep it close, Brian Callahan is going to keep his job, at least for right now. But if the Titans go down there with the Texans being 0-3 and in shambles, you guys heard the crossover episode with my guy John Hickman from yesterday. They are in shambles in Houston right now. They want people fired. They're giving up on CJ Stroud. They don't believe in the leadership. They don't believe in the GM. The Texans have won playoff games in back-to-back years, and the sky is falling more for them than it is for our fan base. Now, expectations minus reality equals how people feel. Like that is the way this works. When you have higher expectations and something bad happens, you are more angry than if you have low expectations and something bad happens. That's just the human condition, right? So the Texans, who are floundering and who are one of the most embarrassing, most disappointing teams in the NFL, because people expected the Texans to once again for a third year run away with this division, and that's not happening. So if you go into Houston against a team that has looked absolutely terrible and you let them look like world beaters once again and you lose by double digits, now Brian Callahan is probably going to be fired. But I got to tell you, folks, I think the Tennessee Titans do keep this close, and I'm going to tell you exactly how they can do it. Let's talk about my keys to victory. Let's talk about my players to watch. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's a local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are places that bring people together. And when neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Looking locally for a lot of you guys, you gotta take a shot at Waldo's Chicken and Beer, Mas Tacos Por Favor, even Star Bagel Cafe. These are the types of places that make us feel good, that bring community spirit out tenfold. These are the local spots that make the neighborhood feel like home, and so many of them run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. It's Square. See you in the neighborhood. Today's episode is also brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend, time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving money every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. My choice is Dan Moore, the Tennessee Titans left tackle who delivered in a big way against the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, it's been a struggle early on for Dan Moore, but in a matchup that he should have had a good game in, that's exactly what he did. And if you've been watching week after week, then you know Dan Moore getting back to good and giving us more, not less, is exactly what the Titans need. And just like Dan Moore delivered for the Tennessee Titans, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, fuel your game day, only with DoorDash. Terms apply, promo period runs through November the 18th. Titans fans, let's continue today's game preview edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about why this is likely Brian Callahan's last stand if the Titans don't find a way to be competitive in this game. And you know how they have a great chance to be competitive? By running the football. My number one key to victory for the Titans is running the football. Look, in the first game against the Rams, they were able to stop up the run pretty good, okay? The Rams didn't have a miraculous day on the ground, all right? And that's pretty impressive because the Rams offense is pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty good. But they held the Rams to only 72 rushing yards. But after that, Tampa Bay was able to run for 196 yards on the ground. Now, Jacksonville followed that up with 86 yards on the ground, but that's Jacksonville. You know what I mean? But the Buccaneers were able to move the ball at will on the ground. And I think that the Tennessee Titans will be able to move the ball on the ground. And listen, it's not just about the run game. I'm not just saying that the Titans have to run the ball because, you know, running the ball with success is good. It's about the domino effect that creates. The Houston Texans are top 10 in the NFL. I think they're 7th or 8th right now, tied for 7th or 8th in total sacks this season with 9 sacks on the year. If the Titans aren't able to run the football and they stay in these third and long, third and medium situations like they've been in consistently throughout the year, that is going to allow the Texans pass rush to tee off. They're going to be able to pin their ears back. They're going to be able to not have any fear of a screen. They're not going to have any fear of a draw. They're not going to have any fear of a quick throw. Like, they're just going to be like, all right, this is going to be a long drop. They need long developing routes. And then, not only that, but it affects how the Titans can play their offense. Because now it's 3rd and long. It's 3rd and 8. It's 3rd and 9. It's 3rd and 10. It's 3rd and 11. It's 3rd and 12. And the Tennessee Titans offense is going to respond with chip help for the offensive tackles. They are going to send a running back to help. They're going to send a tight end and keep a tight end in to help. And now you only have 3 people out in the passing routes. This has been a problem for the Titans since 2022. The problem is when your offensive tackles are so bad and they're getting whooped so consistently that you have to help them every single 3rd and long opportunity. Well, now you got less people out into the routes. Now you have less people that the pass coverage has to pay attention to. Now you have more people to guard less people. It totally changes the math. Totally changes the math for the Titans. So if they don't find a way to get in 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, where they can hit some quick passes or run a screen or do these different things that can negate the Texans' good pass rush, the best unit in this football game by far is the Texans' pass rush on either team, period. And if the Titans don't run the football, they have no shot at blocking those dudes or negating that pass rush in any way. They are lost if they do that. So I don't care what happens on offense with Bo Hardegree calling plays or whatever's happening there. If the Titans don't run the football with success in this game, they're smoked. It's over. Because if you don't, you are unleashing The only real weapon that the Houston Texans have right now. Period. They have to run the football. But on defense, it starts with stopping the run. And look, the Texans ran for 151 yards against the Rams in their first game of the year. CJ Stroud ran for 38 of those, though. He was scrambling because the Rams' pass rush is so good. But in the next two games, against the Bucs and then the Jaguars, they only ran for 84 and then 87. The Texans do not have a good run game. Their offensive line is struggling mightily. All right. And you can see the efficiency of the Texans' offense has fallen off a cliff. Right now, they are 0-4 in the red zone. They are only 24% on their third down conversions, which is last in the NFL. You know why? Because they have a lot of third and longs. They aren't able to run the football to give themselves any room in the red zone. You have to stop the run. The Titans are bottom 5 in the NFL right now in rushing yards allowed per game, 145 yards per game. It does not matter what your plan is on defense if you allow teams to physically bully you in the run game. It does not matter. Nothing will work. Nothing we talk about. None of the players we discuss. None of that will matter if the Titans can't find a way to be better against the run. And this is not, the Colts are one of the best offensive lines in the entire NFL. The Texans are one of the worst. The Texans' offensive line might be worse than the Titans, guys. And when the Titans are healthy on the offensive line, with J.C. Latham back, and I don't know if that's happening this week, to be honest with you, I'm not counting on it, and Kevin Zeitler, the Titans are far and away a better offensive line than the Houston Texans' offensive line. That's just the reality. So if you let this Texans' offensive line get momentum going, push you around, bully you all over the field, and you let the Texans run for 100, 110, 115, 120 rushing yards, it's over. You are going to get blown out. Brian Callahan's going to get fired. It's over. You cannot do it. And I agree with what Denard Wilson said earlier this week. He said, it's not like, or Brian Callahan said this actually, it's not like there are massive holes for these running backs that they're running through. The Titans are missing tackles. So I say stop the run. I should have put tackle. Because it's not like the Titans are way out of their gap all the time. They are missing a ton of tackles. I mean, Denard Wilson said that they had missed 20 tackles through 2 weeks, and then he said this week that they missed 7 to 8 tackles this week. So the Titans have missed nearly 30 tackles in 3 weeks. That's why the run defense is so bad. Jonathan Taylor, Denard Wilson did say this for sure. Jonathan Taylor should have had an 8-yard run on that 46-yard touchdown, but the Titans missed 4 tackles. Football is a complex game that actually is simple. Yeah, you have 11 different guys doing 11 different things, and that's complex. You have offense, defense, special teams that all has to work together. That's complex. The schematics of, hey, we're going to pinch the D-line on gap runs, and now they're switching to zone runs, and the chess match is complex. But when you boil it down, it's about winning up front, and it's about tackling. The physical aspects of the game that are most difficult. So if the Titans don't tackle, if the Titans don't stop the run, they are screwed. And then finally, blitz, 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 blitz all day long. I told you last week it should not be a blitz-heavy week. Shane Steichen is a great offensive coordinator, and he has answers to the blitz, and he has Daniel Jones 100% schooled up on how to deal with the blitz and where to go with the ball when he's under pressure. Nick Caley, the Texans offensive coordinator, does not. He's another one of these dumb New England Patriots type guys. Yeah, he came from the Rams last year, but he's running the Patriots stuff. And you want to be as far away from any Patriots offensive minds as you could possibly be. Okay? CJ Stroud has no answers against the blitz. According to Pro Football Focus, he's been the second worst quarterback in the NFL against the blitz this year. He has 0 big-time throws. He has 3 turnover-worthy passes. He has 0 touchdowns and an interception. And here's the thing. The Texans' offensive line is not good, but their running backs are disgraceful in pass protection. Woody Marks, Dare Ongubulawale, they're disgraceful in pass protection. Awful. So you need to condense your defensive line with slants, slant inside to pull the offensive line inside, and then blitz off the edges with cornerbacks and safeties and force those running backs to pass protect because they can't do it. And I think this is going to be a big week for a certain linebacker who's very good at blitzing, and we're going to talk about that as we get into my players to watch and my predictions for this game as well. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same attention to how they craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Nappa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls, with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. As I keep telling you guys, I have a Mazda CX-5 at home. Absolutely love the Mazda. The interior is comfortable, and I love the technology. The drive is smooth and effortless. Like our players, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. It's Mazda. Move and be moved. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. It's a game plan preview episode here on Locked On Titans. We talked about why I think this could be Brian Callahan's last stand. We talked about why I think the Titans need to blitz CJ Stroud consistently and then run the football on offense. Now I want to get into my players to watch in this game, the big matchups that we got to pay attention to, and I'll tell you whether I think the Titans win this game, do some gambling fantasy advice as well. Do want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day, and for being an everydayer here with us at the Locked On Podcast Network. Getting close to 20,000 subscribers, folks. If you're not subscribed, make sure that you hit that button. But starting with my number one player to watch, it's Cedric Gray. I just told you guys that the Titans need to blitz, 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 blitz. And I think while the Titans do need to blitz off the outside, slanting in, the Titans also need to slant to the outside, which opens up gaps in the middle and let Cedric Gray go one-on-one against the running back. I think the Titans not only need to blitz 5 players this week, but the Titans need to bring 6 consistently over and over and over again. Make the 5 offensive linemen take a man assignment each, hat on a hat, and then let a linebacker go one-on-one with the running backs of the Texans. I think that has to be part of the plan. The Titans have to find a way to get one-on-one matchups against the Texans running backs, and Cedric Gray, who we know can absolutely blow up a running back in a backfield, needs to be the guy doing it. This needs to be a huge week. Right now, Cedric Gray has the lowest pass rush grade of any player on the Titans defense. The lowest. Now, he's not a pure pass rusher. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's a linebacker, but that's not a great sign that when he is asked to blitz and when he is being sent after the quarterback, he's not doing much of anything. Has not been a good week or a good start to the season for the Titans' young linebackers that we talked about so much in the offseason, Cedric Gray and James Williams. So I don't know what the Titans are going to exactly do with their stunts up front, their twists up front, but whatever it is, they need to be blitzing a ton, they need to be bringing 5, and they need to bring corners and safeties off the edges, and they need to bring Cedric Gray up the middle. Period. Cedric Gray has to have, and again, a linebacker stopping the run hand in hand there. Cedric Gray in the run game and as a blitzer needs to have a huge game. The second guy is L'Jarius Sneed. Now, this made me facepalm. I'm just like, why do we have to do this? But in the locker room on Wednesday, L'Jarius Sneed was asked about his matchup ahead with Nico Collins. Nico Collins is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And L'Jarius Sneed said, who? Who? Like he doesn't know who Nico Collins is. And of course, within an hour, the Texans reporters asked Nico Collins about that comment. And Nico Collins said multiple words, but he said, he knows who I am. And look, I've seen the point be made that, cornerbacks have to be insane. It's a very difficult position. You have to have an insane amount of self-confidence, borderline arrogance to play that position. And I agree with that. I do agree. But, man, what are the odds that that's going to turn out good for L'Jarius and the Titans? Like just another, that Nico Collins is going to go out there. He's going to have an awesome game. He's going to score 2 touchdowns. And then the national media is going to be like, look at this bozo, L'Jarius Sneed, saying who. And then Collins put the dunce cap on him. And the Titans suck. Titans, ha, 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 ha. Like the jokes write themselves, man. So I saw that and I'm like, I get it, L'Jarius. But like, man, do we have to do that right now? So at the end of the day, with Christian Kirk banged up, no Tank Dell, a couple of rookies, you got to stop Nico Collins. You just can't let their best player beat you. You just can't. And I think L'Jarius Sneed is going to get a one-on-one shadow matchup with Nico Collins. And with Jarvis Brownlee being traded, you can't afford to have Darrell Baker or Jalen Armour Davis going against Nico Collins. That is certain death. So it's time, L'Jarius. Everybody says L'Jarius Sneed's playing so much better this year. I don't know how I feel about that analysis, as I've told you guys, but either way, time to prove it. You're healthy. You're in condition. You got a big-time matchup. It's time for L'Jarius Sneed to be worth the money. And, as the great American philosophizers, the Migos said, walk it like you talk it. That's what matters right now. And then the final players to watch, to me, I'm going with another double up here. It's the Titans offensive tackles. Will Anderson might be the best edge rusher in the NFL right now. He leads the NFL with 19 pressures. He has 3 sacks. Will Anderson is an absolute dog of all dogs. Okay? Not only that, but Danielle Hunter is 20th in pressures with 12 and has 2 sacks on the year. This Texans edge rush group is the 2 best edge rush. This is the best edge rush duo in the entire NFL. And Ali Udoh was so much better than John Ojukwu last week. So I think Ali Udoh deserves the whole game and not this stupid rotation thing that the Titans have been doing for, 20 weeks now under Brian Callahan. But if Dan Moore doesn't have as good of a game as he had against the Colts, if Ali Udoh doesn't help, and the Titans got to help them with running backs and tight ends and all that. You can't have them on an island all game. But if the Titans offensive tackles get absolutely wrecked by the Texans edge rushers, this is going to get ugly, and it's going to get ugly fast. It's going to get ugly, and it's going to get ugly fast. So Titans better be ready and have a game plan for that. Now, as for my predictions, let me know your score prediction for this game down below in the comments. But I am going with the Texans 19 and the Titans 13. I think the Texans edge rushers are just going to obliterate the Titans offensive line. They have just no chance to stop the Texans pass rush whatsoever. And I think we get multiple turnovers from Cam Ward in this game. I think we get an interception and a strip sack fumble. It's going to be a nightmare. He's going to be under so much pressure immediately with no answers. I think he's going to get hit a few times and not be ready for it. I think that's going to help the Texans offense get a couple of extra field goals on the board. And I think Nico Collins does get a touchdown in this game against L'Jarius Sneed. I think the Titans don't lose bad enough for Brian Callahan to get fired here, but I think they do lose the game again 19-13. Is my score prediction. As for the gambling aspect and keeping it plus 100 here, I think the Titans cover the 7.5 spread. I like the Titans plus 7.5 this week. That's too many points for the bad Texans offense. You guys know I don't like over-under, so I'm not betting the over-under this week. But if I had to choose, I would go under, obviously, based on my score prediction. But I don't like betting over-unders, especially this line at 38.5. But I will take the Titans plus 7.5. My beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy player of the game is Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard is going to have some success in this game. I think he's going to get the Titans' only touchdown. He's going to rush for 80 to 90 yards, and I think that's a pretty good day on the ground, whether you're doing daily fantasy and need a good value, or whether you have Tony Pollard in your season long as like an RB2 or a flex. I think Tony Pollard will be the fantasy player of the game for the Titans because I think the passing game is just not going to produce much of anything against the Texans. But with that being said, that is going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Titans. Again, let me know down below your final score. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed for year-round free Tennessee Titans content. Make sure you throw a thumbs up on the video, throw a Titan up down in the chat if you're watching on YouTube. Check out my Cam Ward, my Dan Moore video that I put out this week on the Tic Tac Titans film channel. But that's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.